Human trafficking, the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Every year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide. It can happen in any community, and the victims can be of any age, race, gender, or nationality. And 8 million of these victims every year are from India. As I learned more about it, I realized that traffickers used force, fraud, and coercion to lure their victims. The root cause is really multifaceted, with several contributing social, economic, and cultural factors. I met Liana at Deborah's conference in DC this year. She was a speaker there and talked about her work with Tel-Asia Ministries in India and Nepal. I was instantly drawn to her passion, her energy, and her cause. I knew it in my gut. I had to find a way to get to know her better, to walk a path with her. I wondered what it would be like. I did not know. I just knew I needed to talk to her more, so I reached out to her, and we started to talk. I asked her to share her story. In this episode, we talk about Liana's story, her passion, her work in rescuing these victims of human and sex trafficking, and we explore what we can do together to really elevate this cause.
My journey of making a difference in the world started when I had a dramatic dream. 3 nights in a row, I saw these people in bondage. They had chains wrapped around them, and they were in so much bondage. And they were people who had been taken in sex trafficking, people who were enslaved to poverty and disease, people who were enslaved to mental illnesses. And my heart broke for these people. I began to study, and I learned that India is considered the world's poisonous hub of sex trafficking. In Asia, it's the worst part for this terrible thing. I came to know that 40% of the world's slaves are in India and Nepal. So in 1997, I got on an airplane with a one-way ticket and I went to northern India. I began to live with these people, literally drinking the same water, dirty brown water out of the open wells, and sleeping on the ground with the critters, and just being a part of their lives. And I saw how we could make a difference. From that point, Tel-Asia Ministries has been just bringing hope and healing to these people. One of the biggest things we do, along with children's homes and schools and microfinance projects, is we're doing anti-trafficking. And we've found that so many girls that are coming out, that we are rescuing out of this horrible situation, they need healing in their hearts. And what they really need to completely come out of that and to be able to start their lives over is they need to discover their identity. Because as they were being abused, their identity was destroyed. They were caused to think that they were worthless. But what we do now is we've come to these girls and we say, no, you are beautiful. You are made in the image of God. And then that helps them. Then they'll begin to start rebuilding their self-image. And they go, wow, I am precious. I am loved. And from that point, we can take them into the next step of their healing, where we can start to give them an education and provide them a skill, get them set up in their own microfinance business, and get them on their way to a transformed life. This is how we're bringing hope and healing into some of the darkest parts of the world.
Liana's story touched my heart. What impressed me most was her decision and her journey to go live amongst the people, to immerse herself, to integrate herself with the culture and the life on the front lines, and really champion the change grounds up. As I began to learn more about the causes for human and sex trafficking and really what does it take to pull people out of it, I continue to be intrigued about what are the barriers of being reintegrated back into the life, sort of having the second shot at life for the folks who have been rescued from the sex trafficking or human trafficking. Because stats show 40% of people who have been rescued continue to be susceptible to go back into the old ways, or sometimes they even choose not to leave their perpetrators. My research shows, and as it was also confirmed by Lianas Ministries, that there are really three main needs of folks to be reintegrated back into their lives. Number one is need for coaching, mentoring, so they can redefine their self-identities. The identities, the sense of self-worth that has been lost through this trauma. They need help to really find hope again, find purpose again, to redefine their stories so they can find purpose in it. Once they see themselves as whole or are willing to see themselves as whole, then we need to arm them with education, with vocational training, with financial literacy, so they have a shot at becoming independent and taking care of themselves and really having that second shot at life. As I continue to read more about organizations that are working in that region, I continue to ponder what can be done to join forces to provide a more elaborate, a more sound network of support for these folks who have been rescued out of human and sex trafficking, to give them a true and tangible second shot at life. I reached out to many organizations, NGOs and nonprofits that are working in that region, and a couple of organizations that reached out for the discussion included Pratham. Pratham is a nonprofit that provides free education to underserved communities in India. And second was International School of Story, based out of Savannah, Georgia, here in US. We got together and with Telesia, and we started talking about what can be done. Can individual missions be aligned to find a common purpose? Can resources be brought together to really put together some tangible programs that could be of value add for these victims that Telesia is working so hard to pull out of the rackets of human and sex trafficking? And what we're exploring right now is putting together a couple of programs. One would be a Hope Incubator led by International School of Story, where mentors and coaches are brought in to help these victims really redefine and own their stories. And by writing their stories again, really finding purpose in it, finding sense of self-worth, finding sense of self-identity in it, so they feel motivated to truly go after that second chance in life. Because more often than not, many of these folks have really given up on a brighter future. We're also looking at putting together what we're calling a Hope Incubator that provides financial literacy training and vocational training, equipping these folks to really become financially independent, to earn their own living and not be dependent on others. And finally, Pratham is exploring if it can leverage its network of schools and educators that work in urban area and villages and in urban centers to really collaborate with Telesia and reach out and provide free education up to high school graduation for these victims. So together with new sense of personal empowerment, backed up by education, financial literacy, vocational training, they are really armed to have that second shot at life. Join us as we share with you our journey in putting together these collaboration projects. How can you be part of it? Spread the message. Help us in spreading the message and awareness against human and sex trafficking and what is really needed to support these victims who have come out of this cycle to really define the new cycle of their lives. You can also support us by donating to or volunteering with any of these organizations, such as Pratham. You can find more information about Pratham at the website, International School of Story, at www.internationalschoolofstory.org, or by donating and supporting Telesia. Be sure to mention Warriors of Hope as you're putting in your donations or as you're reaching out to participate or volunteer. That will tell us that that source came in from this series. We look forward to sharing our journey and really look forward to your thoughts, your comments, and your reach outs. Until next time, have a blessed day. Join me as I travel the world in meeting the Warriors of Hope, in telling their stories, in forming collaborations and service projects that aim to make a tangible impact towards their missions. For I strongly believe together we're stronger. Follow me on YouTube, on Facebook, and IGTV. Have a blessed one.